I'm probably just going to go with albums I'm into now because
Yeah.
I have that thing when everyone goes, what music you listen to? And then you forget all music ever,
Yeah.
apart from what you've just been listening to. So I probably go with, at the moment, it's pretty, I'm not sure, and it's quite intense for a desert island, but it's Arca's self-titled album called Arca.
Right, I've never listened to Arca, so what's the vibe of Arca?
Just complete chaos in the best way. She's a Spanish producer, and she produced FK Twigs' second EP and co-wrote it.
Yeah.
And then I think she's got a production credit on Yeezus. So like pretty like high profile stuff.
Yeah.
And then just started, again, this is someone who doesn't give a fuck. Probably like in the most, probably taking it even further than most of somebody, because a lot of it is like unlistenable. Like she just released an album with 100 songs on it, and it's like 5.5 hours long.
Whoa.
She just writes music all the time.
Right.
And this record, she made it, she also co-produced a lot of Bjork stuff. I think the latest Bjork record she co-produced and wrote and featured on a lot of the tracks. But yeah, and that through working with Bjork, she was inspired to sing.
Right.
And she's a trans woman. She at that time, I think she still identified as a man.
Right.
And her like artistic journey is very much reflected like her personal journey, which is kind of incredible. And that record, she's got this beautiful, deep, like almost kind of like sounds baroque, the melodies.
Okay.
And then you've got like screaming feedback guitar and this like insanely chaotic, visceral electronic beats. And it's like, it's one of those electronic producers where it feels so real and organic, like acoustic instruments.
Yeah.
But equally, every single drum sound, every single synth sound, I can't place it to an instrument or a drum. None of the drum sounds sound like they came from a drum machine.
Right.
I'm just like, well, have you sampled every note? Is all of this music original? It's like with Aphex Twin. It's like, have you spent 6 months making your own orchestra that you then use, and it sounds like that.
Right.
And it's kind of like, I found it very difficult to listen to at first.
Right.
And it's one of those, as you chip away at it, you just notice more and more and more. So I'm well into that at the moment.
Yeah, awesome.
Is that 4?
That's 4. We've got
4.
One more sweet little album.
I feel like I definitely need a chilled album.
I know that, man.
Yeah.
Manic.
Yeah, you got pretty intense.
when the boat finally pulls up and like, where's Charlie? Just like,
I'm thinking an acoustic album. I've got a record player and I've got a lot of Joni Mitchell records, and that's kind of my go-to.
Right.
I don't know. Would it be a Joni record? Maybe Blue by Joni Mitchell or Ladies of the Canyon.
Right. Okay.
She just kind of soothes my soul a bit.
yeah, that
So I
guitar
think-
sound, man.
It's so good.
How does she do it?
I don't know.
Sounds better than any other guitar I've ever heard.
Yeah. I think
Unreal.
I'll go with Ladies of the Canyon.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Was that earlier? Was that like
That
before
was-
Blue?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Just an amazing record.
Mm.
She's still it still confuses me that she did that. Like just as a guitar player, you just think like she had no internet, she had no like where did she learn to play like that? Where did she learn to do those voicings? No one, and no one's done it since.
Yeah.
It's like how
Yeah.
what? And you watch her and she's just like, well, I just made the chords sound how I felt.
Yeah. I know.
It's easy.
I literally thought my head was
Just
going to
do
explode. Yeah, that's it.
It makes sense, but it's like it's a lot not as easy as that sounds.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the weird thing. Like, it's just a sound at the end of the day. Like, again, it's that same thing. Why would you analyze it anymore? And clearly, she probably wouldn't have been capable of analyzing it any further. I'm sure she probably didn't know what like half of the chords could be described as being in, like the names of the voicings, whatever. But it's just like, how do I feel right now, and how can I get that out to
amazing.
people? Yeah, and then she landed on that. It's like, oh my god!
Well, I actually saw a video recently of her, like, kind of talking through one of her songs, and she was just playing the chord progression,
Right.
and she played like a chord, and she was like, "This is a simple chord. You can hear what's going on there." And then she goes, "This chord, there's more tension in it," and which is like a very musical way of looking at it, because they had like, but she just saw it as like that. She was like, "What am I saying with this lyric?" And then maybe I'm a bit more lost and confused here, so she just uses the guitar to kind of reflect that.
Yeah.
But to do that, to be able to do that, and then make it all make sense in every other way.
Yeah.
To do that, to do that in like a jazz improv is one thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But to like craft it into beautiful songwriting
With those lyrics as well.
Yeah.
Oh my god. All the same, and then the singing as well.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Yeah, she's
Come
ridiculous.
on.
Yeah.
She is. Yeah. She's God.
I think A Case of You is just that song blows my mind every time I hear it.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah. It doesn't even sound like a song anymore. It sounds
It's a gift from
yeah,
from the
exactly.
gods.
It's like just so like transcendent at that point.
Yeah.
I could go on about it all day, man, but I won't.
I feel like
I won't bore you guys.
Yeah, I feel like I've not delved down the Joni track
You should
deeper.
do it, man.
Wow.
Just sit down when you've got nothing else to do.
Right.
Put it on and just stay with it the whole way through. And yeah.
She's just such a she's such a like pure artist as well. Like
Right. Yeah.
she only ever did exactly what she wanted to, and I love that now. She's like, her opinion is like, the music industry's fucked, so I'm not going to participate. So she sits at home smoking and painting.
Yeah.
She paints now
That was sick.
because she's like, I can't be asked with this.
Fucking brutal.
And I just love that, and that's kind of
Yeah.
her. That's kind of what she's done. And she was always moving as well.
Right.
Like she did all that acoustic stuff. She made her really famous and successful, and then she made loads of kind of like fusion records.
Mm-hmm.
She was really into Mingus, and she played with like all these musos in the 80s, like Jacko, and then did like an 80s record, which is a bit dodgy, but haven't we all? Not we all. Haven't they all?
We've all made a dodgy
All made a dodgy record.
Don't get me started.
No. Most artists from the 60s and 70s didn't get through the 80s without making a really fucking
That's a really funny thing.
regrettable record
And
with a
true,
shit
man.
album cover.
How many of them know though, or how many of them knew as they were doing it? Like, where was the gift in hindsight in that? Do you think it was like?
Because they're all on cocaine. That's what
It
sounds fucking great. Best thing we've ever done.
What's like the dodgiest like 80s thing you've ever come across, like, or like artists where they had the 80s period where it's like, oh my god, don't do that.
Probably. I just can't stop thinking about. Have you seen the George Harrison album cover where he's like floating in the sky and he's got the mirror sunglasses and he's like got a massive
I
grin.
think I see.
Yeah.
I think that was in the 80s, and if it was, then that. And have it. My parents have that on record. I don't think I've actually listened to it because the cover's just so disgusting. That's George Harrison, he's a legend.
Yeah.
But it happens.
Yeah.
It happens.
I wonder as well, like at the time, because obviously, like the transformation of the sound was like the bringing of all these new synths and all this stuff, which probably sounded fucking awesome at the time.
Yeah.
But it's so funny how it. I wonder, like when they were listening to it at the time, because it was such a new thing, they were like, "This is fucking sweet, man. This is fucking
I know what
awesome."
you mean.
Yeah.
But then it dated so quickly.
Yeah.
It's the same with like 90s, like all the pop stuff and all that. It's just like particularly, just something about like created synthesized music can so easily just sort of like
It gets
fall by the wayside so quickly.
yeah.
I wonder what it is.
It's crazy. And then like acoustic music or like classical music, it's like somehow it's this timeless quality. Like, I don't know. I don't know what the reason is behind that, because it's just a sound. When you really, really like think about it. And then some people got away with like, I'm not saying Kate Bush had like a perfect track record, but a lot of her tunes, if you listen to like Running Up That Hill now, it still sounds
so good.
Imagine
It's
someone
insane.
if someone released that, you'd be like, what the fuck? Like even now. So how did she get away with it?
I don't know. She's like Joni though. She's just
Fucking
she's just
awesome.
got it.
Yeah, man. Crazy but awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like with the 80s production, it's stuff like, I know with instruments, there's more room for like your own individual human performance, and that will never really age. I think.
Yeah,
that's why when you hear a record that's like, I don't know, I think about like the like Zeppelin records. They're just so nothing will ever sound like that because you can't like, even though weirdly John Bonham was sampled for all those drum machines.
Yeah.
Like I think Cocteau Twins use them loads. It's just like John Bonham sample, but it doesn't sound like that. But but everyone's got the stories about how they recorded because it's how they felt that day. Like that will never age really. Whereas like when you got the same keyboard of samples that 50 artists use on their record, I think it's just that it gets old. Like
that's a very good way of putting it, Charlie.
But then it's cool when people like bring it back in a different context and then it's alive again.
Yeah.
Which is what's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's some things where you think there's no way anyone could ever bring that back. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And some bastard does it.
Yeah, it's so true. I'm waiting for like the kind of
It's like the mullet.
it's like a lot like the mullet man, which I have heard is coming back as
Yeah, it's
well.
coming
I'm
back.
pretty sure.
It's coming. Look around.
I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
look around.
I'm pretty sure you've been saying this for like a few years in a row. Like it's coming back, bro. It's coming back in a big way.
Have you noticed?
I've noticed, yeah.
right.
Didn't Miley Cyrus had like she had a mullet for
She
she
did,
was
yeah.
rocking it. I don't know if she's still rocking that, but it looked pretty fucking sweet, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Thank you for listening. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast to catch up on new episodes every week. Also, check us out on our Facebook and Instagram at RecRooms, where you can find out about our other exciting music series. We also have this and all our other episodes of the podcast up on our RecRooms YouTube channel for your viewing pleasure. See you next time.